Hey, I'm here with Gaming and Such, so I'm here to today talk about different tips for being a GM. So whether it be Dungeon Master, Pathfinder, Star Wars D6, Fudge, Fate, whatever, doesn't matter what system. So um, I'd have to say probably the most important thing would be talk to your players. Get to know what they want out of the game. See what So, like, if they want a super combat intensive game, then, bring that to them. Talk to them, get an idea if they want, something more like political or whatever. So, whatever you decide to do, make sure that your players are interested in playing it. Then, continuing on with talking with players, talk to them about, like, what it is that, what you do wrong. So, like, for instance, after the first few sessions, after every session, ask them what they liked, what they didn't like, how you can improve, and you'll learn so much that way. I've learned so many things that I've done wrong, and it's great. Like, everyone has their issues that they're aware of. Like, I know that I tend to be biased towards some people, but by talking to your players, you can get a general idea of stuff that, like, you didn't even know you were doing wrong. Like, for instance, I didn't realize that for a couple of years I had been playing pretty generic enemies for the party to deal with. And so, yeah, so, like, and that was brought to my attention. Now I try and add a lot more variety to the enemies, have enemies that pose different challenges and stuff like that, and so it's really helped my game in the long run. And so you just need to take the good criticism, don't think of it as something you're doing wrong, think of it as something that you can improve on, and that will make your game so much better. People will enjoy them better, and obviously the players, are going to like it better because they're the ones, telling you what what should be done. So and tell them, be honest, tell them, tell me everything I'm doing wrong, tell me what I can fix, and you can get right on that. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is sometimes things just don't go according to plan. Like, you set up this whole vast campaign, and then the players end up just, like, completely getting sidetracked and don't do anything to do with that. So you want to work with that. You want to try and come up with some sort of backup plan or something. Improvising a campaign is something that, I know a lot of people that have a hard time doing it. For whatever reason, I'm pretty good at it. But if you need to, end a session early, come up with a plan, come up with a new campaign if you need to. Not entirely new campaign, you should have the world and everything all set and done. But you can flesh out the details for whatever they're getting interested in. Don't feel like you need to force the players into doing whatever you want them to do. Because they'll know. Like, if you're railroading is the term, because everything has to stay on the tracks on a railroad. You can't sway from the tracks. So if you're railroading the player, it's really annoying for the players. I've been a player when a GM has railroaded, and it's obvious and it's annoying. But, like, for instance, sometimes the players will kill some NPC that you spent a lot of time working on or something like that, or they'll just completely ignore an area that you spend a lot of time working on. Maybe you can put it in a different part of the game or something like that, or have an NPC that's very similar, show up later. So don't think of it as a total loss, it's just part of it. Overall, I'd just say, have some sort of backup plans, and don't expect them to follow the exact storyline that you lay out for them. So last part is dealing with bad players, or bad items, or overpowered players, overpowered items, stuff like that. Pretty much every GM will do this at some point or another. Give an item that's too good to a player, or a player will make some build that's just too good. So you can handle this in several different ways. So you can handle it in game, and like, offer the player, like, a huge amount of money for the item or something like that, or have the item stolen and have them work extra hard to get it, or have the item damaged or whatever. Now, if the player's overpowered, you can do things like you can attack their funding, like you can have, like, all their money stolen. or you can have all these different handicaps like that. You could have someone else mentioned that they like to have someone do essentially identity theft and have the person have their name ruined. That's a solid way of doing it. To basically tone down the player that's overpowered to the same level as the other players. Now, you can also handle it out of game, and you can talk to the player and say, hey, look, you're killing all the enemies, you're taking away fun from the other players, or the item that I gave you, it's too powerful, it's causing too many issues, could you give it to, a responsible NPC, or, could you tone down your character on your next level, or whatever, I mean, depending on the system, or, could you make a new character if it gets to that point, and, they can be pretty reasonable. Sometimes you'll have players that are really bad about it and get really angry with you and stuff, and honestly, to that I have to say, do you want them in your group? But, just talk it out with them, be reasonable, don't be, aggressive about it, don't be like, hey, you need to change your character, just talk to them and say, hey, your character, it's starting to ruin things for other players, could you tone it down, could you make a new character, could you, could we have, some of your stuff stolen, or, talk to the player and, just see what you can do. Just say, we can handicap you, lower some of your stats a bit or something like that. Just talk with them, and again, usually they should be reasonable, again, it can really ruin the fun for the whole party if one person's just dominating every combat or every social situation and everything like that, and so, yeah, but if you have a player that's just generally bad, they're just not good to have in the group, you could kill their character, which will obviously cause some anger, or again, you could talk to them outside of the game and say, hey, look, such and such that you're doing, it's not making it fun for the other players, you need to, fix that problem. So, again, talking to people, probably the most important thing that I've discussed in this, just get feedback from your players, because again, a lot of things you'll just miss, and good communication helps in pretty much every situation in life, and role-playing games are no exception.